Mute your mic.
Oh no.
Hi,
Am I
Susie.
the only person?
Right now you
Oh,
are.
you're here.
Right now you are because I had to restart the meeting because for some reason a few people
Oh,
couldn't get in. So I just restarted the
yeah,
meeting.
I couldn't. Oh, and then I heard the little doorbell thing. I'm pretty new to Zoom, but
Oh, love
I
it.
was watching the crowd. I watched the crowdcast with Leah and you and
Love it.
Bootsy,
Uh-huh.
etc. And I was very taken with what I heard.
Oh, thank you so much. Uh,
So,
mm-hmm.
and I was intrigued. I think it said something. I looked in the chat box.
Uh-huh.
That about meditation, and so I've just started attending a Zoom meditation twice a week, and
Really?
I think it's pretty wonderful.
Oh, that is
It's really
really
helping.
nice. Mm-hmm. That is really, really nice. What's the name of that Zoom meditation that you do or that you go to?
Oh, well, it's sort of a long story, but I guess I can talk because it's just you and me so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, I have friends who live in New York, and they've been going to a meditation class at their library
Mm-hmm.
every a couple of times a week, and then all this stuff hit.
Right.
So the meditation leader had us all go on Zoom and said that everybody could invite their friends. So I got invited, and so now I'm hooked. I don't want to say I don't look forward to being allowed out of the house again, but I'll miss the class.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll still broadcast it. Who knows? If you're interested, I can send you a link to your preferred, because she's still, anybody who wants to show up. It's Monday and Thursday.
Okay.
You're pretty busy, though, from what I can tell.
Yeah, I am. And I asked
I just started.
mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say that yeah, I am pretty busy, but I ask because I love to hear about other people's journey, and I love to just talk about the topic myself and to find out from people like what their experience is. I think it's one of the greatest things ever, and I'm such a proponent of it. So yeah, I just like to hear people's story and hear how they are experiencing it. What they like about it, and how things are going for them in their journey.
Well, I think trying to be mindful is kind of key to making it through.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, a lot of days, a lot of weeks.
Yes, a lot of moments.
And I also, I'm really, I don't know, I feel like I'm just plugging into her style. She does somewhat of a guided meditation.
Okay.
And it just works for me. My friend sometimes rolls her eyes, but I'm not there at all. I'm totally with, her name is Deirdre Breen.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, her website is the Dosha Coach.
Okay.
Which is D as in dog, O-S as in Sam,
Mm-hmm.
H-A, coach.com.
Mm-hmm.
And Deirdre Breen, she's got a lot of, her resume is extensive, different kinds of trainings she's done, Reiki and yoga. And I just find her, I've just was very lit up by it the first time out, and and her focus is self-care, which I think I caught is also true of you.
Yes.
And because everybody right now needs that more than ever.
Yes.
And she also is teaching. I don't know if you is mood. Mood. The word mudra, M-U-D-R-A. It's something in yoga.
Okay. Yeah.
Something in Buddhism. Yeah, it's like you know, it's a physical position that you take that is designed to
Mm,
strengthen certain parts of your spirit, basically.
right.
Oh, there's somebody else here now.
Yes, Andy Pyatt is here. This is our yoga instructor and my good friend, who's actually
Ah,
here with us. Yeah, and it looks like I am
Hi.
fine. Hey, how are you? And Gina.
Good. I don't know what was happening. I was trying to come in and then, anyway, technical difficulty.
Technical difficulties for sure. In fact, right now, the thing was, I was literally right there to broadcasting on Facebook because it actually worked before, even though nobody could get in. And now I just started it, and it was happening, and then now it stopped, and it says preparing. I'm like, oh man, because I actually was almost there. So anyway, but Andy, meet Susan.
should we give you a moment of silence to concentrate on the tech problems?
Hi, Susan. How are you?
Hi. I'm psyched. I'm pretty good today, actually. Say your name again, please, for me.
It's Andrea. Actually, I need to probably, or you can call me Andy. I need to probably try to change my name.
Andiana? Andrea.
That's my yoga name.
Okay.
But my name is Andrea. You call me Andy.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Andy. I was
It's a
telling
pleasure.
Aaron about a Zoom meditation that I've just started going to. I think the past three weeks, maybe four, twice a week. A friend in New York, their teacher has started doing Zoom meditation. So those of us who aren't there for when we don't have to be, pre-COVID, it happened, live in New York, and I'm in Boston. So, so this is new, and I've been really, really getting a lot out of it. Her name is Deirdre Breen, and she's in New York, and she's got a website called the Dosha Coach.com, and I guess she also does yoga.
That's fantastic.
Reiki.
I mean, that's important. I think so many of us, there's so many people around the world who are going to need some support and kind of reimagining how things are moving. And so I think it's important that all of us who have the ability to support with helping people move forward in that way, whether it be through meditation, mindfulness, yoga, to have as many people as possible creating this really environment of just love and acceptance, generosity, and support.
It's such great generosity. I to invite anyone who wants to be there. I just think that's incredible. And so helpful.
Yeah, I agree, Susan. In fact, one more thing, Susan, that I want you to tell Andy about is the mudra piece that you were talking about, because I was telling you she would definitely know exactly what that is.
Yeah, Deirdre, usually she's, as I said, she's also a yoga teacher, but this class is, it's called a meditation class. But her focus is self-care. At the beginning of the class, she does some yoga movement just kind of to get the body, flowing. And then some guided meditation. And each time, the last few times, she's taught us a mudra. And you know what that is. So it's, they can be very powerful, and
they can be. And then a lot of times people in yoga, when we're doing yoga, there's you have some mudras that are used more often than others. But mudras are very powerful connections when you are practicing. But I mean, anytime we are moving, I mean, this is the mudra right here. This is the Anjali mudra.
Yep.
I mean, we do it often, right? So,
Yep.
It is, and the reason why we do this one is, right, it's this continuous energy, because when you have both your hands together, the energy is flowing, creates this circle, this circular motion in your body. But yeah, mudras are really great. In fact, if we wanted to talk about mudras for yoga today, I don't know. I think actually I have, because I'm sitting in my meditation room. We could do a couple of movements, and then I could even show a new mudra if that's something that people would be interested in. And I have a great book, and I'm looking over towards my bookshelf. So bear with me 1 second. I think I can go get my mudra book.
Sure.
So that sounds good. And one of the things that I'm going to do while she's actually going to grab that is I'm going to actually do a reintroduction again to be able to explain what 5M is and, the concept.
I was just going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, Vivian. Okay, we got another person here. Vivian Smallwood, are you with us?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Hi,
hello.
Hi, Vivian. How are you today?
Fine. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. It's good to see you. I'm looking.
Likewise. It's been a while.
Yeah, it really has been. But it's always good to see you, and it's always good to connect with you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, no doubt. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually give a quick introduction to 5M, and actually we're going to go and dive right on in and talk about a few things, get to moving and listen to some music and just kind of having some fun here. So this introduction is also for all the people that's on Facebook as well, the people that's tuning in from all over the world now and those that will be tuning in shortly. So what is the 5M Fellowship? And I'm going to actually read something here. So basically, the 5 M's stand for music, movement, meditation, mindfulness, and mantra. And so the way that I came up with this was that we used to have a gathering that we used to do, and Vivian, you actually attended that gathering. In fact, that was the last time we saw each other in person, was at the gathering. And so the gathering was a once a month, every first Sunday event that I hosted with Amachandra, who was also a part of leading that group. And it was a really good thing. I came up with it with my concept called the Fruition Community, which is a community that I started out of my company and out of my movement. And so since then, I mean, we have a lot of friends in what I call family at this point. And so between that, and I also used to be a Course in Miracles teacher between 2011 and 2013. Yeah, and I've studied a number of different resources, including the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu, Bhagavad Gita, just a plethora of different things. And so I always enjoy just the connecting of talking to people, like just the dialogue piece, and so that was another thing that this how it came back around. And then also being a musician and an artist, and just a figure at this point that for all things positivity, and so I was looking to start this at the top of March as a live event, where we used to do the other event. But of course, with the change of things, here we are virtually. And I'm actually more excited that it started off virtually because of the fact that, like you were saying a few minutes ago, Susan, I'm going to tell you that meditation class that you're in now is probably going to continue even once things get back to normal, because one of the things that I've been helping a lot of people with, this is another thing I do, I help people with their ideas in business or entrepreneurship, or just their personal legacy ideas, and how to do things like podcasts and make videos and just a bunch of things to take advantage of social media and technology. And one of the things I've been saying is that Corona has taken our creativity to new levels. And everything that's created now during the time where people are adjusting, especially using virtual means, when we go back to not even go back, but when we move to the new norm, what many people are going to have is another arm or another branch of their business, of their brand, of the things that they do. So that's why I'm really excited about this. And I'm actually glad that it started this way, because once we get back rolling, I'm actually going to do a once a month live event, but then the other 3 weeks on Sunday will be the virtual event. So music, movement, meditation, mindfulness, and mantra. And and so that's what this is about. And I also have been on a self-care journey since December, learning and sharing what I've been learning as well. So that's why we're here. And I just want to once again say hello to everybody, and thank you so much for joining me. So what we're going to do now is, if it was earlier, because of the hiccup, if it was earlier, then we would just talk a bit more just about how we're doing in general, because what's most important to me is just loving on people, seeing how they're doing, seeing how their families are doing, and just how they're moving through this time, and just how they're moving through life, period. So we're going to come back to that probably in the discussion toward the end. But right now, what I want to do is go ahead and turn it over to my good friend Andy Pyatt, who's actually going to lead us in the movement aspect of this experience, just with some stretches that actually help us to get limber and loosen up. So, Andy Pyatt. And Andy, if you can hear me, let me make sure. Okay, you're muted. Let me unmute you.
I can hear you, but I was muted. Hi, everyone, again. So I went to go, I think I actually packed my mudra book away, so it was kind of far. So maybe the next time I'll have that with me. But it's funny, I've been looking for my Upanishad book.
Nice.
And of course, I found it. It was
nice. Nice.
I love it. I was looking for that and another like mini tripod that I was like, I know I had it somewhere. So even that in itself is flow, right? And that's yoga. When you are in the space of receiving and connected, then everything always appears and is in front of you at the appropriate and perfect time, whether it be a time when you envisioned and thought, or whether it wasn't that time. So I'd literally been looking for these 2 things for months. And one conversation about mudras led me to them. So thank you very much, Susan. So wherever we are, like Aaron said, we're going to do some movement. I don't know if I should introduce myself again. I don't think we need to do all that. Do we, Aaron?
No, you can just keep it rolling because of the time.
Okay, great. Yeah. Because of the time. So I'm going to just adjust myself. I'm in my chair. I'm going to try to see if I can move this back just a little bit, so maybe you can see a little bit more of me. But I like to do, for this, at least for this practice, we've been doing chair yoga, which I think is really great because it really just, everybody can participate in this. And each week I have about 5 movements that we come together and participate in. And those movements you can do whenever, wherever you are. And so it just really gives you something really good to hold on to. And it doesn't matter the state that you're in, anyone can do this. And especially if you have been working at your desk, this is really, really great because it allows you to have some tools where if you're working during the day, you just need to take a quick break, you can remember some of these movements. So we'll begin just connecting to our breath. And if you are so led, you can feel free to close your eyes. Allow your eyelids to be nice. And just breathe. You don't have to force the rhythm. Just breathe and connect to your individual flow. Bring awareness to different parts of your body. As you inhale, bring awareness to your torso. Inhale, feel your belly move outward. Inhale, exhale, feel your belly move towards your spine. Inhale. And as you exhale, release any tension you may feel in your shoulders. Inhale. Exhale, release any tension in your arms, your elbows, your wrists, your phalanges, or fingers. Inhale and exhale, feel your hips sink firmly into your chair. Inhale, exhale, release any tension from your thighs, knees, ankles, toes. Feel the soles of your feet planted firmly beneath you. Take 3 more rounds of inhale and exhale. And on the last breath awareness round, allow your eyes to open. Keeping the soles of your feet on the ground, take a look at your legs. And what you want to do is you want to scoot to the edge of your chair to where it's comfortable. But be mindful of your knees. You still want to make kind of like a 90-degree angle with your knees, with your calf and your knee and your thigh. So if you need to scoot your toes forward a little bit, scoot your toes forward, because we want to make sure that you're still really grounded, even as you're in your chair. Take a deep inhale, draw your belly outward, put your shoulders towards your earlobes. And roll the shoulders down your back as you exhale. Inhale, draw your shoulder blades together and lift your shoulders towards the bottom of your earlobes. And as you exhale, roll your shoulders forward. Inhale. Exhale, roll the shoulders back. Inhale. Shoulders towards the ears. Exhale, roll forward. Inhale. Exhale, roll down the back. One more time. Inhale. And exhale, roll forward. Extend your arms out to the side so you are making a T. So we're also going to do some things that are going to join our left and right hemispheres of our brain. So it's going to be very interesting trying to do this on Zoom, so we'll see. Bring your right palm to the center above your left back of your hand. So you're crossing over, you're protracting those shoulders. You'll feel your shoulder blades come apart, right? Flip your thumbs down so your palms are facing each other. Very good. Now, grab those fingers, bend your elbows and roll inward and under. Aha. Deep inhale and exhale. Slowly unravel your arms and your fingertips. Flip them back over and out to a T and down by your side. How was that? If that was good, nod your head. All right. So remember, in yoga, we do everything in balance, but balance isn't always symmetrical. But this time we're going to extend to a T. Bring the arms, protract those shoulders. So bringing those shoulder blades apart. This time left over top of right. Flip your thumbs down. Grasp your fingers. Let them lock together and love each other. And roll back in once again. Deep inhale. And exhale. Unravel. Open up your fingertips and come to a T. And down by your side. Back to our seated Tadasana. So that is also, that's really great for your shoulders. It also is a precursor to eagle pose. So many people have seen and maybe even practiced eagle. But it really eagle, people, you see your arms, but it really starts in the shoulders and really pulling those shoulder blades apart so that your joint can kind of cross and connect and hug. And so I find that that's a great way, number one, for that what we just did for bridging the gap, making a bridge between the left and right hemispheres of the brain, but also really preparing your body for poses such as eagle. Taking a deep inhale, draw your fingertips up to the sky, shoulders away from our ears. Inhale, exhale, forward fold, bringing your belly towards your knees onto your thighs. Tucking your chin in and rolling up. And release. Inhale. And exhale. And roll up. Just take a moment to be aware of your body, your shoulders. You might really feel, they might feel a little heavier. Maybe your back feels a little more open. Gently twist to the right. And so you want to take your left hand and place it onto your right knee and place your right hand towards the back of your chair. Just to give you a little leverage, but it's helping you to twist your spine And drawing your chin to the right. Inhale and exhale, rotate forward. Another deep inhale. And rotate to the left. Inhale. And exhale, rotate back to center. So this time I want you to scoot back into your chair just a little bit for one of our second to last asana. And so this is important just so that you keep your balance in your chair. And so we're going to draw our knee towards our chest while we're sitting. While we are sitting in our chair. So on a deep inhale, we're gonna take a deep inhale, hold on to our knee, and beginning with the left knee, keeping the spine as straight and the chest as open as you possibly can. Lift your left knee towards your chest. And for my ladies who might have a little more up top, you can feel free to kind of shift to the side. I am one of those ladies. I always have to make adjustments. And if this feels good, you can bring your left hand to the inside of the left thigh, and you can extend your leg, really getting that hamstring. So it's almost like a standing extension. You can do the toe grip. And draw the foot back in and place it down, back to the floor. Very good. You probably would have felt that in your hamstring. Yep. And that's what we wanted. We wanted to feel that in our hamstring. We're going to go with the other side, the right side. So inhale, exhale, draw that knee up to the chest. This side's a little tighter for me. Bring the right hand to the inside of the right thigh. And you can use your peace grip, your 2-finger peace grip, to grab between the big toe and the second toe. And wrap the thumb around the toe and extend. You can kind of see how I'm wrapped. I have on socks, y'all. So y'all don't have to see my unmanicured toes. Very good. Extend to the side if it feels good. And back to center. Knee comes back. And slowly place it down to the side. How was that? Everybody nod your head. You all did great. I saw. Wonderful. All right, one deep inhale. And exhale. Another deep inhale. I always love to call this painting the rainbow in my class with my little people. Deep inhale. Bring hands together in that Anjali mudra, that mudra of energy, and bring it towards your heart center. And take a moment to just connect to your breath. And as we're sending gratitude and love to all these beautiful parts of our body that we have just asked to support us through our movement, take a moment and say something beautiful and kind to yourself in the form of an affirmation, in the form of an I am affirmation. One of my favorite quotes is Rumi's, "What we seek is seeking us." So if you are seeking strength, it is searching for you. If you are seeking love, it is seeking you. Therefore, whatever it is we need in our life, whomever the energy we choose to embody, we understand that we are the manifestation of such. So whatever we seek, desire, understand, show gratitude towards, we begin with a simple I am as we speak to the energetic body. So whatever comes to you, speak that I am between the palms of your hands. Hold it close in that energetic field and guide it back towards the heart. For the words we speak inform the universe, and the feelings we feel activate the universe. So what we speak and what we feel is what we manifest. Thank you for allowing me to guide you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Andy Pyatt.
Thank you.
I'm gonna unmute everybody and just kind of do a quick check-in. How's everybody feeling? I've unmuted everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Oh, I feel better.
Everyone feels good? Wonderful.
Yes, yes, yes.
Sweet. That sounds good. So I thank you and for that. And actually, we're going to go into the next segment of this, which is I'm going to share musically. I'm going to play a couple of I'm going to play a couple of tunes, probably about maybe 10 minutes worth of a piano meditation. And during this meditation, you can feel free, by all means, to, experience this whatever way you like. If you like to, with your eyes closed, whatever way you feel fit. But I am going to play a little bit of a serenade, and then we're going to chop it up about a self-care topic that I have planned. So let me just make sure I have all of my sounds happening. All right, there we go. Can you all give me a thumbs up if you can hear that piano? There you go. Okay, sweet. All right. So I'm just going to actually flow and see what comes out. So let's have some fun. Throw my phone up to record this as well. So one of the things that I've noticed in my journey, even if I speak for no one else but myself, it was that when I go throughout my day-to-day, my daily hustle and bustle, taking advantage of the opportunities that I have in front of me, trying to tend to all the responsibilities and do all the fun things and just all the to-dos, there are often times where I forget to breathe deeply. So all we're going to do here in this quick meditation is to just take a few minutes to devote to breathing. Breathing has so many benefits, not to mention the least of which would be giving oxygen and blood to the body and to the brain, de-stressing, decompressing, that kind of thing. So together we're going to take this deep breath and we're going to inhale in and exhale out. Inhale in and exhale out. 2 more breaths in. Exhale out. 1 final deep breath in and out. And as you continue with that pace, I'm going to play a little bit of a song that I wrote called This Life. This life is only what you make it. Take this life as far as you can take it and be done with the cares and affairs that the world has to offer, because in the end, it all amounts to nothing. It's not worth losing your cool over. So as you go throughout your life on a day-to-day basis, just remember that a deep breath is only a breath away. You can take advantage of it at any given time. You don't need the best and most ideal circumstances. All you need is intention and the ability to be available. So don't forget to take a deep breath. Thank you. So you can return back to the stream when you are ready. And I hope that you enjoyed that. And everybody's feeling good. Everybody good. Everybody good.
Yeah, what you said about the ability to be available, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Thank you. And that really means a lot. And so with that, one of the things that I want to actually share, I'm going to put everybody on mute for a second. And what I'm going to go ahead and share now with you, which I'm excited about, is a part of the self-care topic for the day today. And so I'm going to share my screen with you, and you're going to actually see the self-care journey. Okay, while I'm doing this, I want to make a quick mention. And once again, say to everyone, thank you for hanging out for a few minutes. And I want to say that in the chat, I've already put it in there. I put the link to the 5M Fellowship Facebook group. I actually just created it right before the stream. And so if you get the opportunity, by the time the live broadcast is over with or when we finish, if you're able to and if you like to, please join the Facebook group. And then I also have my information in the chat as well, because I would like for you to join my mailing list as well. So that way I can actually give you information, not only about 5M, but the other happenings that I have that contribute to this effort and other efforts. So that's on my website at aaronhilltv.com. So those are like two housekeeping things. If you can go to aaronhilltv.com, you'll see a link there. You can just add your email. It's real quick. And then also if you can add yourself to the 5M Fellowship Facebook group, if you like. You don't have to, but what I wanted to do is to have a central location where it could be for all things 5M. So for instance, what I'm about to share with you right now, you're going to see it on my screen in about a half a second. This right here is the self-care topic for today. And as you see by the date, this was one that I actually did on February 9th, 2020. And for those that don't know, my self-care journey I do on a daily basis, and it's around the 10% Happier app, which I'll tell you all about at the end. But I'm going to jump on into this, and I promise you that I'm going to keep it simple. And the goal for me in sharing is for discussion. Discussion is more important to me than just sharing my perspective. So here we go. Equanimity and meditation. Let's talk about a definition. Equanimity definition, if you've never heard this word before, it means mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. I'm actually going to throw some music back on in the background. And so equanimity is one of those topics that for me, it's really special because I realized that this was kind of like my way of being, even before I knew this word, even before I ever heard it before, or even knew like what it meant, you know? And so I've been happy in this journey to not only be able to find out more about the definition, but realize like, oh, wow, like this has literally been me for my whole life, as long as I can remember. Shout out to my mom, Cheryl Lawson, who really was the one that instilled like patience in me and those kind of things. Okay, so that's the definition. We're talking about mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. Equanimity can be confused with indifference as a flatlining, so to speak, versus a lack of friction. Allowing emotions to come up and move through while not being overtaken by the experience. And the reason why I think that this is so important, this topic of how equanimity can be confused with indifference, is because on the outside, they can look the same. You know, if you are, whether it's right now dealing with COVID-19 or whether it's dealing with a family member or just whatever the deal is, just your day-to-day moving through, if you have that place of evenness and mental calmness, like to others, it can look like you don't care. It can look like indifference or flatlining emotionally. But the truth of the matter is, it's not a flatlining. You literally just have something that I talked about last week, and I'll be talking about for the rest of my life, which I call the wedge. And the wedge is like having that little piece in the door that just allows the door to be cracked open just to allow for something else to come in, like some sunshine or some air. In this case, mentally, it's like another perspective. And so all you're doing is you're separating yourself from like your emotions, from the perspective of saying like, this is something that I feel. This is something that I am feeling, not so much that this is something that I am, you know. And so having that space right there allows it to be a lack of friction. So that means that everything can be happening right in your experience, but there's a calmness because of the fact that you're not immediately impulsive with it. You're not allowing it to hit, but that should not be confused with indifference. Allowing emotions to come up and move through while just not being overtaken by the experience is the point. With equanimity, you are poised to let the salient and intense stimulus arise and pass. You're not resisting the experience or needing it to be different in any way. This is another saying, if you all know me, and this is another saying I'll be saying forever. My religion is acceptance over expectation. And I've come to find out that for me, the reason why that's the case is because there are many times in life where, in an optimistic and positive and hopeful way that we learn about every day in our different spiritual paths and our different philosophies, like there's reason to hope, there's reason to expect. But what I've come to realize is that the acceptance piece is, to me, more important to put that as like the most important thing, because then that way we don't get caught up in experiences where we're taking those positive principles and that positive optimism and we're putting it to the test in our various ways, or we're applying it in our various ways, and we're expecting, but and things don't go the way that we desire. And that could be, I've watched us as a human race go through those tough times over and over and over and over, because of the fact, and I realized that it was a lack of acceptance. It was that in other times when we had good reason to expect and things worked out well, then everything worked out well and there was no issue. But when you get down to those things, it just doesn't allow for room for life to be life at times, and for us to work on the acceptance and settling into that. I realized that we wind up having to go all around the mulberry bush, so to speak, just to get ourselves back to a place of being at peace or like accepting reality. And I really think it's because of the fact that we put expectation over acceptance. The good part I realized about acceptance is that if you put that first, then it's a win-win situation. That means if things go the way you expect, then you're fine, you're happy. You take that as a bonus, or you take that as a good thing. And then if they don't, you've already prepared yourself anyway from that place of acceptance. So equanimity offers us a container in which to hold the full range of our experience, the ability to stand in the middle of whatever is happening with balance, strength, and stability. There's a strong presence of inner calm, well-being, and integrity that keeps us strong and balanced. And so that container, it's like the place. I've noticed this as I've applied it more and more and more. Things that, and I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but things that in this part of my life, in this last season, that gave me either anxiety or things that got under my skin, I noticed that more and more they just didn't bother me. They were still present. They didn't go anywhere, but I just had this kind of this container to hold everything in, and this wedge and this shield between me, so to speak. And it was really just acceptance. But the second part of this, I like the ability to stand in the middle of whatever is happening with balance, strength, and stability. It reminds me of a Facebook post that I put up the other day, and I said, I have the best job ever. I get to be myself every day of my life, and that is a unicorn. And what does a unicorn represent? Strength, stability, wisdom, beauty, balance, and that kind of thing. So that to me is like the outcome, of this kind of thing, that balance. The next thing I have here is, as inner strength develops, equanimity follows. And that's by Gil Fronsdal. That's a quote by Gil Fronsdal. As inner strength develops, equanimity follows. These are things that I've noticed just naturally flow together. So this whole self-care journey is about building resilience, emotional resilience. It's not about being naive. It's not about acting like things aren't there, or like you can't give them focus, because if you do, you give them power. It's not that. It's actually being able to understand, being able to accept, and they're just saying, like, in the midst of it, though, there's this inner strength that's being built. And then here's the last thing I think I'm going to share for today, because then I actually have another segment on this as well. But what I'll do for the sake of the topic today and keeping it succinct, and so we could chop it up for a few, I'll end on this last piece. One major study demonstrated that in response to emotionally charged stimuli, meditators, people who practice mindfulness and meditation, on some kind of intentional basis, showed increased activity in the amygdala and also the frontal regions of the brain, where they were experiencing negative emotion, just like everybody else, while remaining in control. They were experiencing the emotion fully, but with composure and without suppressing the experience. And this was a major study. It's from a journal. I'll actually send it to you all in the Facebook group if you're interested in reading up more about it. But I love when I first learned about this, because this particular study, because it kind of proved something that, again, I was experiencing and that I know, like, from the bottom of my heart, which is that, throughout our times, we've heralded different figures for their like amazing abilities that we might see. Some of us might call it spiritual. Some of us might call it supernatural. Some of us might call it other, names. But I've noticed, though, that in many respects, like there's a heralding, but like kind of in another way that's like out of touch of what we experience. So for instance, many of the figures that we idolize, we see them kind of on this level where, say, take something like meditation, where they just snap their fingers and they're just in this place, as opposed to a process. Meditation is literally a practice, and the practice of being distracted and being able to monitor your thoughts or realize what's going on and then resettle in, just like going to the gym, lifting the weight, putting it down, lifting weight again. It's a practice. So I've always thought that this whole topic was looked at in a very like unrealistic way abroad. And my proof of that would be that many people didn't find themselves able to like access this whole idea. And it was like, in order to meditate, I can't shut my brain off, or I need this, or I need to sit in this position. And it's like, nah, the real deal is that you're no different than anyone else. This journey is literally just a practicing journey. And as you succeed in it, you literally, they even said from this study that neuroscientists, when they actually look at the brain in this particular study, the brain actually makes it look like the person is not responding to the situation any different than anyone else. But when you look at the person on the outside, the person is experiencing it and still having the mental calmness and that kind of thing. And so they're still having the same part of the brain light up. They're still experiencing emotion. They just have this balance, this shield, this protector in the middle of it. And this is what we're talking about today with equanimity. So on that tip, I'm actually going to unmute everybody. I'm going to stop sharing. And again, I'm going to put that in the Facebook group so that everybody can have a copy of that whole thing. And then I'm going to put all the articles and like everything that I actually share and is a part of this there. So I'm going to unmute everyone. And at this point, we're going to do what I call chop it up. We're just going to chop it up. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And anyone can just kind of jump in. What are your thoughts? You know, how do you feel? How can you relate? What are your thoughts?
Well,
is that Susan?
It's yeah. I'm trying to, formulate. Yeah. I was having lots of different responses while you were talking.
Right.
I think people tend to default to just trying to shut it up.
Yes.
That it's much harder to actually be open to it, and let it flow. I was actually trying to picture that, and it's not so easy,
right?
To be, if you're actively feeling, well, let's say, you're really pissed off at the person and they're in the room with you, I can't quite visual. I guess it takes practice, like you said.
Yeah, there's a practice. Thank you for sharing that. There's practice. There's also the piece of like, okay, there's another self-care session that I did, and it was called "It's Okay to Feel This Way." So like the whole deal is that it's not about hiding your feelings. It's not about like forcing yourself to feel some other kind of way. It's actually being like, no, this is how I feel right now. This is how I feel. And then from there, just giving yourself whatever is needed to be able to cope with that. It may be that your feelings can't change in the moment, so you just change your proximity or your position to, if it's a person or a situation or a scenario. But the whole goal, and this was my favorite aspect of this mindfulness journey. It was all these years having the word mindfulness in my vocabulary and talking about being mindful and actually being mindful, but not knowing about one small part of the definition that made the world of a difference. And that was the part about that this is about non-judgment. Mindfulness is about not judging in the midst of it. And so I think that the point, even like with what you're saying, is actually just not judging yourself and just allowing yourself to feel and just working with yourself, like literally one small aspect at a time, to just, allow for the space for others or allow for yourself to feel the way you feel and to move through. And like you said, and this is actually a part of another care session that I did, that we'll come across at some point, where I even said the first words that you echoed, which is that most people think that the whole idea is to try to stuff their feelings down. That's the culture that we grew up in. Stuff them down.
Some very, very unfortunate effects when you do that.
Yes, 100%. It's completely negative. So thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? What are your thoughts? Just unmute your mic. Okay, I see you, Vivian. I'm going to actually unmute you. All right, go ahead.
Okay, as far as in my journey, I can't say that I've owned up to equanimity 100%, but the one thing that I have found is when I'm dealing with a situation, a person or whatever, if I can learn to detach myself from it, the situation, then I'll be able to be a lot more balanced or even with it. And so then it doesn't stress me as much. So if I can remove myself, still be present in dealing with the situation, but detach myself from it. So that way I can, it's kind of like you're like on the outside looking in, be able to feel and do whatever you want to do, but you deal with it where there's balance. And so I've been trying to do that. And by looking that way, by being detached, it helps me a lot better. There are some situations where I'm completely attached and I blow up,
Right.
but I try to focus on attached, and that helps me a lot with equanimity.
Yeah, thank you. And I definitely feel you on that. One of the biggest reasons why I feel you on that is because, again, like it's about being real with yourself, and the detachment piece that you're talking about is a couple ways to describe it. One thing that I find really, really helpful is, instead of saying something like, I mean, it's funny because it's a little word game that you play with yourself, but it allows you to make that separation, to be on the outside looking in. It's, instead of saying something like I'm angry right now, even though that's the truth, saying something like, okay, so this emotion I feel is anger, or I'm feeling it. And then that way, it's almost like there's a part of you that's the person, the analyzer, and then it's analyzing the other part of you. And the way that I see it is almost like, if you take a security guard, right? So you have a building, and you have a building or a big campus, and this campus is like really, really big in size. But then you have the security guard that's like in this small room with these screens that's a representation of the whole campus, but it's not as big. It's just in a small place. And he or she is able to just monitor to different aspects while being like in like the command center, control center kind of place. And so that's how I see this. It's literally like, it's what we call, we'll talk about it one day, interoception, literally being able to take a scan of like, okay, so this is how I'm feeling, and you're stepping outside of yourself, so to speak, looking at yourself. And sometimes that's all that's needed, literally, just not to be impulsive and to just like do something quick if needed, to get yourself into a different place, or be more understanding or what have you. So I definitely agree with you on that. And like you said, you're not always going to be successful at it in the moment. But the point is that this whole journey is a practice. And practice is not about perfection. It's about progress.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? What are your thoughts? All right. So let's see. I am, okay. And I also have everyone muted as well. So if you are talking, you might have to unmute yourself, because I wanted to just make sure that everybody could hear everybody. So one other thing that I will share on this topic, I'm gonna show you my screen one more time. I'm actually gonna run through a couple more notes. It'll only take 5 minutes. And you get to see a few of my other self-care sessions too here. Loving kindness and meditation, well-wishing and meditation, what loving kindness is and isn't, attachment versus loving kindness, anger versus loving kindness. We're going to dig into all of these. The myth of separation, compassion, burnout versus compassion, celebrating others' success, the comparing mind. And then this is, I want to share a few things from here, and then we'll wrap up. So equanimity, the secret sauce. And a few of these are going to just be reiterations, but for what they're worth, I'm going to run through them. Equanimity, one more time, balance that comes from seeing clearly and realistically, having a healthy perspective on change. And by clearly and realistically, I'm going to be honest with you, that's literally like not being naive about what's going on, but being able to have realistic expectations and understanding where you are, how you feel, being honest and all that kind of stuff. That's the balance. Mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. We mentioned that before. Being able to intentionally put forth actions while having a healthy, Vivian said, detachment from the outcome. Being able to intentionally put forth actions while having a healthy, I can't tell y'all how big that is. I talked about that years ago with a friend of mine, like years ago when I was first on this journey and I was starting to realize things. And I was like, we were talking about sports. And I was like, yeah, I'm the kind of person where I like to play the game for the sake of the game. And this is how I approach life as well. I like to play the game for the sake of the game. So I can actually put in all my investments, all my actions and everything, but still do that with the balance of like not being attached to the outcome. And then I have the healthy aspect of both. Then I can play the whole basketball game, and whether I lose or whether I win, like I had a good time. And so to me, that's what being intentional and putting forth actions, doing things for people while not expecting, forgiving without expecting certain things in return. And don't get me wrong, there's a place where you do have healthy expectations, and we'll talk about that too. But I think you get the overall point. Loving kindness can become attachment or control. Listen to this real closely. Sometimes loving kindness can become attachment. Sometimes we only do things because of the attachment of what it can get us, or what the person, what we're holding the person to, or the scenario, the situation to, even without somebody else knowing it. And that can actually lead to something negative. All pros have cons. So every positive trait or positive emotional experience has cons too. And the point is to be mindful of them, not to be naive and think that just because these are positive principles that they don't have cons. Because actually, this is my biggest gripe with almost every other philosophy on the planet, or every philosophy on the planet. Compassion, right? While it's a good thing, compassion can lead to burnout. You can be so compassionate to the point of giving of yourself to where it's not realistic for you, and you burn yourself out. So the point is to be able to give while not giving like to the point where you are is detrimental to you. And then the last thing, sympathetic joy can lead to comparing. Sympathetic joy, being happy for someone else and whatever their accomplishments are or what have you. It can lead to comparing if you aren't careful, where you're comparing yourself and your own accomplishments or your own or lack thereof. The funny thing about that, again, everything has pros and cons. So the funny thing about that is sympathetic joy, and even that place of comparing, like in the non-harmful way, actually leads to the most innovative and motivating things ever. It could be like, oh, wow, they're doing such and such. Wow, that makes me want to, like, I'm motivated. But it can also lead to you looking down on yourself for what you are not. And what you're not doing. And I put a quote on Facebook the other day that I think really sums it up in a balanced way. Strive. I forgot how I put it, but it's like, strive for, always strive for the next level where you're going. Strive for the things that you're shooting for. Accept and appreciate right where you are, and don't stress about where you're not. Be easy on yourself. All right, last couple of things. Equanimity allows us the skill of balancing through wisdom and understanding about what we can and can't change. We realize and accept the fact that we can at times influence change through intention, and that ultimately we aren't in control of outcomes and are subject to the inevitables of life. That's another way to me to put that whole balance thing into perspective. This balance allows us to be optimistic, proactive, and hopeful without simultaneously being naive, overly attached, overly invested, and unrealistic. Experiment with using the following phrases to practice equanimity. These phrases are meant to convey a sense of balance where we care, but we're not overwhelmed, where we may be seeking change, but with a full acknowledgement of how things actually are. And here are the phrases. And I'm going to say them slow so I'm going to say them and then pause for a second for you to take it in. So the first one is, may I accept things as they are. The second phrase is, I will care for you, but cannot keep you from suffering or fix your life for you. And then the third one is, I will do what I can and not feel guilty about what I can't. Do everything you can to make a difference and then let go of the need to control the outcome. This creates and sustains what I call a cheerful giver. And then last but not least, I put here, once again, my religion is acceptance over expectation. Because again, I think that's the crux of all of this, is that healthy exception. And accepting does not mean condoning or being naive. It just means being realistic and being balanced. So on that tip, I'm going to once again unmute everyone and just check in one more time to say and to see, what are your thoughts in relation to the extra added addendum that I just put on there. Anybody can just jump in because we're wrapping up. All right. So it's okay. I'm listening.
Susan, that it's Buddhist thought is basically what you just said, and that the need for acceptance, that what causes, I think they say what the cause of all suffering is the inability to be accepting.
Yes, I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. So on that tip, I want to go ahead and actually close out. I really thank everybody for hanging out today. And I also want everybody to also be able to just meet each other, appreciate each other as well. And so, like I said, the way to do that is, if possible, if you're able to actually join the Facebook group that I just put up, 5M Fellowship Facebook group, and you can just type it in on Facebook if you don't see the link. But on that tip, what I'm going to do, and then we're done with this experience. I'm actually going to do this all together. I'm going to unmute everyone. And so what I want to do is, one way of ending this experience to me is, I'm sorry, I guess I will keep everybody on mute so that way we can hear. One way of doing that is this whole 5 concept, this whole 5M thing for me is fun, because there's a lot of things that we can play with the number 5 with and just kind of have fun. And so one of those places I want to do is breathing, right? So we're just going to take 5 breaths in, 5 counts, 5 exhales, and that's how we're going to end this experience. So everybody take a deep breath in through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to count on my hand for the rest. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. And last and final breath. Deep inhale. Exhale. And on that tip, I end this experience by saying, peace, be well, and salute. And that's the high five that we're all actually going to be doing, especially when we all come together. I remember how Will Smith and Carlton used to do it. I do that. So on that tip, and salud, for anybody that doesn't know, means health. And I also, it means I wish you good health. And I also found out recently that it also means I wish you good wealth and security as well. So what better way to end than say peace, be well, and salud. Yeah, thank you. Are there any other questions before we head on out? Are there any other final questions about anything? And I also want to let you all know too, if you aren't already aware, I share a lot of this kind of stuff on Facebook on a regular on my public figure page, Aaron Hill TV. I'm always putting out material that's in this vein and other veins around this. So I thank you for that. And yeah, are there any final questions? And I also want to say hello to Eamon. Thanks, Eamon, for jumping in here with us at the very end. How are you, brother?
Good. How are you?
Well, man, so good to see you. So good to see you. So, yeah, everybody. Last and final thing as well. This meeting right here is also going to be up on my YouTube channel as well, for you to be able to go back, listen to, experience all over again, and also share with others as well. And the goal is for every Sunday. This Sunday had to be at 4 instead of 3 to 5. It was 4 to 6. But the reason why that is because I was actually on a podcast at 3 p.m., which I'll also be sharing in the 5M Facebook group as well. So again, be sure to join that. And other than that, 3 to 5 is the time that I'm looking at to commit to this on a regular Sunday basis. So I'll be here And as long as you're interested in stopping through and hanging out, I would absolutely love to have you. So on that tip, I think that's about it. Anybody have any other questions? If not, once again, peace, be well, and salute, everybody.
Salute.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, see y'all.
Thank you. See you all again. Take care. Peace, peace, peace.
Peace, 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 peace.